Hello and welcome, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your networking break and welcome to the last session of our day. For this session, we're going the extra mile. And when we say we're going the extra mile, we really mean it. We're going now all the way to Australia to the Big Picture Group and to talk to Ben, Tanya, and Boyd and get from them their view and their take on an alternative view on mergers. Because for their agency, they've gone actually the other way of rather than getting and putting brands together, they took their brands apart and created new brands and an umbrella brand on top. And now we're going to hear from them the story on how that came about. So, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can. Thank you.
Hello, hello. So great to have you on board. And could you just, three of us, just tell our audience your names so that we get acquainted?
Yeah.
Thanks, Barish. I'm Ben. I'm the marketing director here, so look after all of our marketing clients and the marketing of our brands as well.
Fantastic.
And I'm the general manager of the group, so I oversee all of the projects, all of the team, and general operations day to day.
Thanks.
Fantastic.
And I'm Boyd. I'm the owner, founder back in 2000. And yeah, I live to give and help these guys do what they do.
So, Boyd, I imagine it must be your fault that you did this strategy, and we came. So, I'll ask you first. And so, what does the Big Picture Group actually do? What are your services, and how did this multi-brand strategy come about?
Thanks. So we offer truly through the line service, right from branding through to digital tooling and then digital marketing services. So the ideal client starts at the line from a branding point of view, and then we take them completely what I call through the line, that is helping them with above the line work, below the line, and then ultimately online. So, the whole concept came about probably back in 2010, but before that in 2000, I had a brand called Corporate Image that was offering design and marketing services. Back then, offering the marketing services was quite unique because marketing agencies were only just emerging at the time. But this was also very much pre-internet. And, I remember starting out and search engines, didn't even exist, for example. So around sort of 2008, 2009, this whole need for digital agencies emerged. And within Corporate Image, we were actually offering website creation and those kinds of emergent services, but the market was really begging for a digitally focused brand. So I basically thought, well, okay, how am I going to do this? So we came up with a Mode Digital. We basically started promoting and talking about that brand while still holding on to Corporate Image, that we then rebranded into CI, and we sort of made that a pure brand focused brand. And then we had a Mode Digital, which was offering all of the digital services, because as well, brand nichings being like all the rage for probably the last 15 years, where client side, clients want to have a specialist for this and a specialist for that. And so it made sense at the time to create these two brands to basically cross-sell and work together. But then also you have completely different brands that are out there attracting different types of clients, and clients that are focused on a branding need versus a digital need. But then you have the complication of, okay, well, how am I going to, from an accounting point of view and from a management point of view, processes, protocol, recruitment, et cetera, how am I going to make this easy and simple, but also at the same time, how can we make this more of a marketing experience? And so creating Big Picture Group was done with, I guess, the end in mind. During probably the mid 2000s, there were a lot of businesses going around, VCs, consortiums, buying up a whole bunch of different agencies and forcing them together. And there were some major issues with how they were doing that. First of all, they weren't valuing those companies properly, and they were pushing companies together that actually weren't the right fit. And then they also had this huge problem behind the scenes where they weren't actually getting these businesses to communicate and work together, to cross-sell together. So I thought, well, I just want to do that now. So if I do that now, we set up this vehicle which allows us to turn brands on and off. And so during that time, I actually trialed some other brands, which were probably, to be honest, ahead of their time, and they actually failed. But it meant that I could actually be creative, be strategic without having to rebrand and change one brand continuously. And I could also have, these niching brands out there attracting different types of clients, and I could test business models and have a calculated, risk-taking approach to it. From a accounting point of view, it just has all the benefits where you're not running multiple accounts, multiple balance sheets, P&Ls, all that kind of stuff. You've got contract streamlining, having individual contracts for employees. You don't have all the complications of managing different businesses with all of the back end. And then, the goal in mind is cool. I'm the only shareholder, but down the track in the future, if you have like a multi-brand approach, you can potentially say you had interest for someone, wanting to buy Bellman, you can break that off and sell that. You're not having to, you can still retain certain brands and so forth. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. It's a lot more work, but it also allows us to make changes to our group structure from a brand point of view as the market changes and as the world changes, because we're in a space that changes every month. So it gives us flexibility, and there's there are plenty of other benefits around. It creates an impression that we're bigger than we are. It allows us to potentially get better pricing for software and all this kind of stuff if we can create this authentic illusion, so to speak, where we play with that in our strategy a lot, and it gives us some flexibility.
Fantastic, thank you. I really understand where the strategy is now coming from. But for the individual brands, there might be benefits and also drawbacks. I'm not really sure what it really means for them. So I'll ask Ben straight on. So what's in it for Emote?
Yeah, so for Emote, obviously it makes that cross-selling process quite natural because we offer, as Boyd said, we offer so much within digital. It's a lot to put on one website and offer to in one piece of marketing on any channel. So we often get people come through Bellman or even through BPG where they're not really sure what they need, and it turns out they need a website or a marketing service or something that Emote offers. So rather than us having to kind of explain it, we can just say, hey, Bellman is focused on brand, but actually we have Emote that specializes in this. Whether we pass that over to another person in the business, then they're talking to a new expert. It makes us look like a big organization. It makes us show that we have specialists in every area. And we're not just saying, oh, we do SEO as well. We actually, here's our website that shows we do, and here's our case studies, and we're still one agency under one roof. But really we have kind of all these different pieces attracting different leads and vice versa as well. So it has a huge new business benefit. Also with current clients, it has a benefit as well. We can work with clients for a long time and they still never really kind of understand our approach or really pay any attention to, say, Bellman or Emote and vice versa. So a client might work with us and then say, oh, we need someone to help with our packaging or our brand design, or we need someone to do our SEO, and they've done brand in the past. And then that's when we can say, oh, we've got this great relationship already. You were happy with the work that we've done. We also do this, and here's Tanya, and she can help you with that. So it really helps us build a relationship with current clients, and it just makes it easy where we don't really have to explain ourselves as much. We have the brand set up, we have the proof of work, and we have the online presence already.
Fantastic. So whilst we're at it, I'll just ask to Tanya now. So what's in it for Bellman?
It's pretty much what Ben said, but I guess for Bellman, what we actually do, because a lot of clients will come through Bellman, and then it's very natural for us to talk about marketing and websites. So that's a very natural progression. But the other way is a little bit different. So what we try to do is, in all of our communications with our clients, we are sort of showing the big picture group and both of our agencies in all of our email signatures, all of our communication, all of our presentation documents, our proposal documents, so that a client that comes through Emote for marketing services, who's engaging us for SEO or social media or websites, in all of our communications, they're seeing this other agency being Bellman in our signatures, and they're naturally curious. So they'll click through and say, oh, we didn't realize that you did, branding and, content guidelines and packaging and collateral. Can we talk about that? We actually need help with that. Also, all of our account managers naturally just sort of talk about those things. So we do find that clients who only have a marketing focus in mind and engage us for marketing, naturally, just through the process of dealing with their account manager or people in the business, are sort of saying, oh, we actually need help with content. Can you help us with that? So it's kind of like, it's a very easy cross-selling opportunity, I think, because naturally when you're writing social content or social advertising or website copy for a client, you sort of find gaps in what they're doing. So you'll say, oh, actually, you could benefit from content guidelines. Let me introduce you to the team at Bellman and they can help you with that.
So as I understand, it's a kind of a welcome surprise for the client. So they will say, hey, oh, you do that too. Fantastic. So you start, let's say, your relationship with the client from the thing they actually need at that moment. And as let's say, the relationship progresses, there's a
Yeah.
natural, let's say, flow over to doing other things. So I'm going to go a bit off piste here, and because I got curious. So when's the third brand coming? So I can see one doing digital, the other doing corporate. Is there anything else you want to move towards?
It's interesting because one other point to the Bellman and a moat strategy is that a lot of the market thinks that brand agencies do digital. So, your brands can play a role at different points in the adoption and understanding that market segments have about what they need and what brands can help them. So to answer your question, the huge market is in content. Content has been talked about. Content is king. People talk a lot about it, but very few agencies have really nailed content in terms of focusing on being a content agency. But the biggest issue is that the actual market is so far behind what we actually want to offer or what they're offering that I often say that clients are in different years because they don't do what we do every day. So the big opportunity is definitely in content because design is valued, but words are not valued anywhere near as much as content, yet they're actually more important. So people often think, I can do the writing, you do the design, but we want to get the world to change that thinking where they realize they can't do the writing and they definitely can't do the design. So content is big. Social advertising is an absolute monster. 90% of the planet don't understand it, don't do it, yet they spend 90% of their lives consuming data and content on these channels. Advertising on those channels is the silver bullet of the future. It's our fastest growing segment within the marketing services wheel. And, really just building on that presence and that awareness is just a no-brainer within a moat, for example. But to be honest, a brand that purely focused on social advertising so that the market responded to that brand's pure focus would be something that could easily be created and set up. You basically turn on ads, turn on a site, get the brand right. We basically have a framework and a process where 100% of our leads are inbound. We haven't made an outbound effort or outbound call using traditional channels for 15 years. So we know how to generate leads and create an attraction to a honeypot. But the market has to actually be ready for that message. Quite often you can launch a brand with an amazing idea, but if you are living in 2022 and your market's physiologically in 2018, you'll have to wait 4 years for them to catch up. So, you got to be careful how far you lean into the future with brands that you create. They still need to be relevant and they need to make sense to the majority of the market. Otherwise, you won't get enough revenue now and you'll be waiting. So, that's how I would answer that. But, in the past, I've tried to set up a pure strategic workshop sort of strategy brand called 30,000 Feet. That I did that in 2010, and that was a complete flop because the market's just not ready for that kind of offering. It's probably ready for that offering in 2024, to be honest. And it sounds simple that, why would people not want that? But they're still trying to grapple with the fact that their brand's out of that date. They don't even have a functioning website. They don't do any proper coordinated, trackable digital marketing. So that takes 2 or 3 years to get a client up to where, up to what we've been talking about 10 years ago. So that's okay. It just shows that there's huge upside in our space. And I think COVID, for example, the only benefit that's really brought us in this whole experience is it's just shone an awareness to the world that they need digital, they need to work on their business, they need to work harder than ever to stay in business and grow and exit out of COVID and enjoy that upswing that is sure to come once everyone gets back to normal and starts having fun again.
Fantastic. We're a bit low on time, but I'm going to take a judgment call here and carry on because this is the last session of today. We can just go off just a little more. This is a great conversation. Tanya, I got another question for you. And could you just tell us how real, because you're the general manager, how real is the separation inside? I mean, what happens? Do you
Yeah,
guys like enter through different doors? What happens?
no. It used to be very different. I think in the last 2 years, it's definitely come together. In the last 2 years, we've changed a lot of internal processes. So we all of our emails are at Big Picture Group. Everything is, this one company. We sort of have created systems where people from different departments are forced to communicate about certain things. So there is no divide. It was very different years ago. It was very sort of, different teams, very siloed. But now it's very, it's cohesive. We've kind of put a big effort into making it that way. So definitely not two different doors.
All right.
But also we made a decision internally to communicate a term that we called being brandless.
Yeah.
And that was a big initiative that, Tanya drove. You want to talk about?
Yeah, just basically that, we are one team where we are brandless. Everything that we do internally is, we all have the same clients, whether they are a brand client or a website client or a marketing client, they are our client. We treat them as a Big Picture Group client. We all are invested in the strategy and workshopping and, the client's well-being and the output. So there's definitely a lot more communication now than say 2 years ago, I'd say.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We could go on this all day. I really love this conversation, but we're really ran out of time. Anything else you guys want to add? How would our attendees find you if they wanted to?
Yeah, so we're obviously online. If you go to bigpicturegroup.com.au, you'll see both brands. You can go to both websites from there, emotedigital.com.au and bellmanagency.com.au. We're obviously on all social channels. We're here in Melbourne, but we work with people all over the world, in the UK, the US, Asia. So yeah, we would love to talk to anyone who wants to talk to us. We love to talk about this topic we have done today. So if anyone has any questions, they can find out how to contact us on our websites. And yeah, we'll be keen to pick up the phone and respond to emails and talk about whatever it is they need.
And to meet in person if that's now possible.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of our programming for today. So this is a wrap for Camp 2. Thank you to all of our attendees for choosing to be with us again today. The programming has finished, but the networking continues on for another day. So you can feel free to just use the system and keep on connecting to the people that you find interesting. So our next event, our last event of our inaugural season 1, is where we bring in the brands. It's the Brand Summit, which is on the 9th and 10th of December. So it's less than 3 weeks away now. And mark that on your calendars. And I hope to see all of you there. And with that, thank you so much one more time from Agency Growth Events. Bye-bye.